thanks everyone for having me, and thank Benjamin, or bring up your resentments with Benjamin if you don't like what happened tonight. And my name is Paul Hedderman. We have a website called zenbitchslap.com, and you know, a little history. I started to speak in recovery, AA, like 27 years ago, and doing a workshop every week on a very important part of the 12-step program. And then as the years went on, something started to happen, and there was a line in how it works when you're entering into this inventory process, where you take an inventory, you look at resentments and fears and how you harm people in the pursuit of what you wanted by looking at the sexual arena. And it's like an introductory inventory to see how self defeated you. So the word self in this the way I'm using it is the sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That sense. It's not ego, because people who, when they talk about ego, they'll say, I have an ego, or they've lost an ego. I'm speaking about what is that feeling of having and losing. Who is that has an ego? Who is that loses an ego? Yeah? Because when an ego's lost, it's still there, and when it's had, it's still there. Yeah? Yeah. So there was a statement in this big book, and it says, being convinced. And I read it tons of times, and yet this time I saw it completely different. And yeah, so it says being convinced, which is a present tense condition. Yeah, not I was convinced or I will be convinced, but being convinced right now that self, this feeling of the sense of this, of being the doer and the haver and the thinker, and the non-doer and the non-haver and the non-thinker. That's that feeling of being a one, yeah? That has defeated me. Yeah? So being convinced that self manifested in all these different ways is what defeated us, yeah? So it makes a beautiful statement, and I don't know if the founder of who wrote the book knew it or not, because I believe it was a download, really. But in this view, it makes very clear that self and us are different, yeah? So in this example, we're the us, and then there's this thing, or this GPS, or this foreign installment, or this parasitical movement in the mental state called self, yeah? So he separates the two. And then it says, all right, if we are convinced of that, then we're gonna look at its, meaning self's, manifestations in one's life, yeah? So something that is not of us is manifesting through us, and in those manifestations, it's defeating us. That's the statement, clearly, yeah? All right, so when I saw that word self this time, I saw it as something other than me, yeah? Like completely foreign. I gave it, to produce an image, you can say like a failed GPS, you know, a GPS thing you listen to, or a foreign installment or a parasitical movement. But what happened is, as soon as I saw that as other, the next possibility that became available was I can be free from it, yeah? And when that hit, it told me in a flash, but it looked at my whole life, and I saw that I had been trying to be free as it my whole life. In other words, I was identified as the false installment, and therefore I was looking to become free as the false installment instead of from it, yeah? And all my life that I was attempting to, let's say, find peace, I was attempting to find peace as that which has no peace in it. It's agitation, yeah? And it's a great statement in a famous Zen treatise called Faith Mind. It says you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity, yeah? So you can't use this head, this activity, because that's what it is, selfing. I use the terminology. It's an activity. If that is what you're taking yourself to be, to use that activity to find stillness only begets activity. This is the dilemma in all spirituality, in a sense. The dilemma is captured beautifully by Ramana Maharshi, great master. And he wrote something in his own dialect, but a lot of things have been written about his teachings. And there's this one statement that's in most of them, and it's given a pretty important position because it's called the problem or the greatest mystery. And it's this, he says, there's a presupposing, and you know the word supposing, and pre means before, yeah? So there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing, this, yeah? And then wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. And if this is the case, then your spiritual practices themselves will be used to reinforce the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? So in a sense, these meetings to me are like a spiritual shoe store. Yeah, you walked in, maybe you have an idea like you're looking for hiking boots because you're going to go on a long spiritual journey, go to the mountains, Tibet, Himalayas, everything like that. But basically, I'm going to listen to your description of what you need, but I'm not going to bring it out. I'm going to bring out these statements, simple as that, yeah? Or a great statement by Huang Po, a great Zen master, which says, you cannot use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. It's not going to happen, yeah? You can't use mind, big mind, let's say awareness, to seek awareness. You can't use light to seek light. You can try for eons and nothing's going to happen. So, to me, these talks are more warnings than anything. Sort of like when you see that, I don't know if you have it in Germany, Italy, they smoke like fiends. Everyone's smoking. But, there's a cigarette pack in America, and then they have a warning on the side, says, hey, this could kill you. We're just going to throw it out. You deserve a warning. Now you do whatever you want, but this could be hazardous to your health. I think this should be stamped on every spiritual book, yeah? Like this, that you may be in the effort or in the activity described as using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Now, this is the dilemma about this message, because the mental state, that activity, and I would say it's three-pronged. It's the thought system, it's the memories, and it's the narration or the interpretation of perceptions. Those three things are going on. They're the activity of our lives, going on and on and on and on and on. The movement of those things is they're going to claim, yeah, you don't know the word claim? They're going to claim whatever they're brought into contact by conscious contact. So basically our whole baseline, everyone in this room, is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, yeah? They're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. The mental state says that implies as a seer, a hearer, a feeler, a taster, a toucher, but that's just added on. The seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. So after the seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching occurs, the mental process shows up and then claims the seeing and uses it to imply the seer. Claims the hearing, uses it to imply the hearer. Claims the thinking, uses it to imply the thinker. Claims all the feelings and uses them to imply the feeler. This is the bondage of self. This is like the heist, yeah? So basically, we start, if you want to call it as an activity, at consciousness, yeah? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. The mental state comes after that, but then when you believe it, it implies that you're before. That's the robbery. That's the end of the meeting. There you go, really. If you don't see it, you're going to be looking from it. It's that simple. That's why, Ben has seen me, and, people know me for 11 years. They call me up. Anything new? No. Nothing new. Anything, you're throwing anything in there? No. Because I felt, when this came clear to me, that without this being clear, the heist is going to go on unnoticed, and what you're doing is going to be used to imply the doer. Even very noble activities as meditation, which I hope, I believe that there would be like a spiritual electrified fence around meditation and these things, and that the selfie couldn't climb over, but it's in there. So the meditation will be claimed by the mental state to imply the meditator. So in a sense, you can't meditate yourself out of the meditator. And the thing is, this mental process is probably the fastest process here. So you can't practice a process, it's like a gunslinger, you're not gonna beat it with another gunslinger in time. You've gotta see it from timelessness, yeah? You've gotta see it, because in timelessness, no matter how fast the mental process is, your gun is out all the time. You never lose, it's there. So that's what you are. You have a sense of onness now. What would happen if suddenly, instead of living from the narration that comes after the conscious contact, you would start there? Your life would look quite different without anything really changing. You just have new eyes to see different things, yeah? So, and once you have the solution, you know the problem. You don't know you do not know the problem from the problem. You know the problem from the solution. And to me, humbly, it's a mental activity, really. That's what's going on. You didn't, like, even if you believe you're a person, and so you have, you have no sense that you were there when you were 1 or 2, but there may be a lot of pictures that show you there. At that point, the mental states hadn't developed enough. And so basically, when an action was happening as a kid, like you were shitting in your pants, you were doing tons of shit, and there was no embarrassment, nothing was happening, because there was no claiming of it. It was just living and going on and on and on. But then the mental state developed, and now suddenly, look at dogs that you have. They've been with humans so long, when they're taking a shit, they look embarrassed. You ever see the dog's face? They've acquired something that they didn't have before. So this idea, I term it selfing, yeah? The mental states. And the mental state, the thoughts, the memories, and when our attention or our attention and interest goes in there, you always catch it in the act of being identified as the doer, a thinker, a feeler, a thing, basically, yeah? So when the attention goes up there, they're always in the act of being identified as a self. Now, the act of being identified as a self is the whole verb. There isn't like the verb, the act of being identified, and then a noun self. The whole verb is the act of being identified as a self. That's selfing, yeah? So people hear me, and they seem to get it, so they call me up and they go, "Hey, Paul, I've been selfing all day." And I go, "That's not it." It's the feeling of being the one that was selfing all day is the product of the selfing. Or they'll say, "Oh, the selfing has been driving me crazy." That's not it. It's the feeling of being the one driven crazy is the product of the selfing. Yeah? So the selfing, the mental state, claims what it gets brought into contact by conscious contact, and it claims and uses it to imply there's a doer. Just like this here. Simple. Here's a bottle, yeah? Everyone sees it. Now it's gonna change. Now it's gonna be seen as a bottle, but it's gonna be held as my bottle, yeah? So now the bottle is used to point to the owner of the bottle, yeah? Let's say thoughts. 70,000 thoughts, let's say 20,000 thoughts a day. The mental state is putting a little tail on it, so every thought, my thought, yeah? Every feeling, my feeling. Every action, definitely my action. So all the actions, all the feelings, all the thoughts are being claimed, and they're being used to imply that you're the actor, the feeler, the thinker, and this is it, yeah? So suddenly, we shift from starting at being conscious to being the one who's conscious. So life is happening when you're a baby or young, and then suddenly it turns into life's happening to me, which is an interpretation. It's not living. It's an interpretation about living. So suddenly, our living gets replaced by a narration. It's slavery, really, literally. And if you look at the thought system, It's happening now, but it doesn't value now. It values yesterday and tomorrow. It's usually thinking about you yesterday and tomorrow, or thinking about others yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah. The memories, you go into memories. How are you pictured in memories? A body. You can't remember yourself as spirit 4 years ago. How are you gonna? There I am. 4 years ago as spirit, you're not in any form. There's no partition. There's no body. You can't be thought about. Yeah? But the memory pictures you as a body. So when you go, oh, I was in Italy a week ago, how you're pictured is a body. And when you're worrying about yourself as a body in the future, you're pictured as a body. So the mental state does a little trick. So the I am is onness, yeah? Very famous statement in spirituality, I am. It's indisputable that you're on. You can't argue with it, I am. All right, so how does the mental state get around I am? It replaces it. So it goes like this, I was a body, I will be a body, therefore I am a body now. That's it, that's the heist. So now we're constantly trying to feel alive because we don't feel alive. Yeah? Because we're mostly in what's not happening. The land of the head, the mental state is totally, it loves what's not happening because it can picture you in it. It can picture you in a future situation that may never happen, like being destitute or having cancer, but you'll feel like it's happening now, even though it was produced from an imaginary place. Like there was a Jesus, he was supposedly brought back a guy, Lazarus, alive, right? The guy was alive, died, and then Jesus supposedly raised him from the dead. But all of us are making shit out of nothing. We're like miracle workers. If you're screwed up tonight, is it based on tonight or last week or next week? This is see it, This is the invitation. See if something that's said here fits, wear it. Just see what happens. See what happens. See what kind of downloads that aren't claimed will get through, because the freedom from the bondage is not after the bondage, it's before the bondage. It's before the bondage. That's where the freedom lies. The freedom is innately available as what we are. It's very infrequently available as what we're not. Yeah? And it's a simple little maneuver. But everything changes. Instead of looking for what you are from what you're not, you see what you're not from what you are, basically. That's it. Yeah. If you don't see what you are, if you don't see what you're not from what you are, you'll be looking for what you are from what you're not. Yeah? You will be using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. You'll be using light to seek light. You'll be using mind to seek mind. That's why it's not working out. And if you go into spirituality, spirituality is one of the greatest businesses of all time. Because let's say if I was a furniture store and I sold you a couch, you saw it and then you went, and I said I was going to deliver it on Wednesday, and I delivered it on Wednesday. But in spirituality, they say it may take lifetimes to get your freaking couch. And then if you don't get the couch, it's never it's never their fault, it's your fault. Because you didn't do freaking enough to freaking earn the right to have the couch. This is insane to me. So I believe humbly we're all awake, and yet we can seem to be awake to that, which means it appears to be true to you, or you can seem to be asleep to that. It doesn't change the fact. But here, you can see, as awakeness, you can seem to be asleep to the awakeness. And then here, as awakeness, you can be awake to the awakeness. But the awakeness is innate. It's the way it is. Yeah. Just when you're seeing today, did you have to go to seeing lessons today? Like a seeing class? Look like this. Did you start sweating after 2 o'clock as you saw a whole lot? You know, you had a breakout, man, like it's like a workout? No. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching demonstrates no thought or effort at all. Why would you believe thought and effort is going to get you where there's no thought or effort demonstrated? I just don't see it. So I feel almost like this whole meeting is misadvertised because I don't have a spiritual bone in my body. I don't. And I don't have any future in it. I'm going to be obsolete pretty quickly because this is just an invitation. You are what you're looking for. It's an invitation. Whammo. It hit me. It was like an unspoken yes, and it's just been echoing ever since. Yeah. And then I've stopped looking for what can't be found. I'm not trying to get into the moment. I realized I can't be out of the moment. And I'm not trying to get out of the head. I realize I can't be in the head. It's just simple. It's just switched around. The horse is in front of the cart, and I'm looking forward. It makes sense. The horse is in front of the cart, but you're looking backwards from the cart. Where's the fucking horse? The horse is in front of the cart. Blue is blue, red is red, green is green. Things start making sense to you. Yeah? And then you'll see the insanity of the mental state. When you're in it, it makes fucking sense, but if you see it, it's totally insane. Why would you want to rely on something that values yesterday and tomorrow more than now? I did a talk in America, in this, maybe you've heard Walden Pond in Massachusetts. It's in a rural area, and we drove there, and we got there late, and there was nothing going on, and then there was this little commotion at this railroad crossing. And so we had to pull over, and they had all these lights, and then the cop came over, and he told us, yeah, a lady listening to a GPS turned right on the railroad tracks. Now, she could hear it, but her faith in the GPS, she went 15, 20 yards still, because it kept the GPS saying, your destination right up ahead. She boom, 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 and she just stayed with it. Faith, incredible freaking misplaced faith. What if there's faith in the thought system, you're going to produce tons of freaking anxiety.
Say again, please.
If you have faith in the thought system, you're going to produce tons of anxiety out of what's not happening. It's like harvesting a crop from an imaginary field. Yet, if that faith is weaned off of this preoccupation, and it's allowed to go where it wants to go, you'll have an ease and comfort in your own skin. Yeah. Faith is a force of mind. Mind, big mind. Faith is a force of mind that's going to manifest by the vehicle it's put in. So if faith is put into the thought system, you're going to have anxiety about what's not happening. You'll be determined by tomorrow and yesterday. That same faith is placed in something else will enrich your day instead of enslave yourself to a day. Yeah, it's as simple as hell. It's not a big deal. It's just a switch. You just see it from instead of seeing it from this pole, you see it from the other pole. The same thing's happening, but now the emphasis I wish it could do it physically. I mean, take you there and then just move you over so that you could see that seat now. And then see that nothing has to change there because it has never and nor will it ever affect or change what you are. We are like the big freaking sky. You know? Do clouds move into the sky? Have you seen a cloud from 8 days ago still up there? You know, looked like a dog up there. Millions of clouds have moved through the sky. Have they affected the sky? When it rains, does the sky get wet? we have these 4th of July events in America where they shoot off a lot of fireworks. You could have it 365 days a year, it still wouldn't open the sky up. I never hear a pilot on an airplane call the tower and say, I ran into a big chunk of sky. Yeah, that's what mind is like. Brilliant, allowing everything to appear in it, yet never affected by what appears in it. Yeah, wouldn't you love to have a little of that in your day? I would, yes. So, I always feel like it's bad news, really, when I come to these meetings sometimes. Because, you know, I'd love to go to Amazon and paint my face, do ayahuasca, fucking, you know, see a giant serpent, a multi-dimensional thing, write a blog and write a book. But this is like, I went to the store today. I got on a plane. There's nothing exciting about it. But it's something, you'll never get gypped, ever. You'll always be here while sleeping, waking, doing. You will never, ever get gypped. You will be awake to being awake, yeah? So, my feeling is, it does no good. First of all, like tonight, I'm not talking to any of you about this message, yeah? I'm talking sort of like the Buddha, and then there's Ben. So there's the Buddha, AKA Ben. I'm not talking to Ben about the Buddha. I'm talking to the Buddha about Ben, yeah? So I know there are so many defense, it's like Star Wars, you know, the Death Star kills all the fucking fighter planes. But I believe if I keep pouring it on, one of the little spiritual sperm is gonna get through. It's gonna hit the egg of the mind, and the mind's gonna conceive an idea. Hey, I may not be that. And basically now the horse is in front of the cart. Instead of trying to find what you are from what you're not, you start seeing what you're not from what you are. Just make, and then see what happens. To me, as this, over time, it's stabilized in a traveling lighter, really. So whatever life has in store for this action figure, and I've had a large segment for years, it's not going to mean everything's going to get great. There'll be cancer or getting fired or this and that, but I'll travel lighter with whatever life has in store. And after years of that, you hit the point of like, what more do you want, really? I truly believe if you felt contentment and satisfaction, you wouldn't give a shit about enlightenment or awakening. And look at what awakening enlightenment has done to people in these meetings. They just drive themselves crazy. I'm not enlightened, or someone is enlightened and I'm not, or whatever. Or the worst is I was awake, but then I blew it. Now I'm not awake. Now I'm trying to get back to awakeness. It's all selfing. It's all selfing. This is just regular dog shit awareness. You're just on. Yeah? And then you lose interest in the need to be liberated. Because that which needs to be liberated isn't you. Yeah? Just like here, let's say you signed up, God forbid, for a 3-day thing here with me. Yeah? And we're going to chant, I'm not a body, for 3 days. Yeah? The only thing that's going to chant it's not a body is a body. That's it. The body doesn't want to be a body. What wants to escape the body is a apparition made by the brain, the selfing. The spirit doesn't want to freaking get out of the body because it's never been in the body in a sense. So it just changes everything. And you know, it's pretty cool if you are what you're looking for. Yeah. As St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. Yeah? What's looking is what you are looking for. Why the hell is it so difficult? You know, like I grew up in went to Catholic school, and they used to have a religious class every week, and they'd go over God, and they talk about the 3 attributes of God. And it says, he's omnipotent, meaning all-powerful, omnipresent, everywhere, and omniscient, all-knowing. And even at that age, I wondered, why am I not running into it, yeah? I feel like I'm somewhere, and therefore I must be in everywhere. Why am I'm running into people I don't even want to see, but I'd really like to run into God, and it's like, what's happening? There's an obscuring, there's an activity that's obscuring us. And if you hear a description of what you are, what's going to be claiming to hear that is what you're not. You can go to thousands of these meetings and you can hear an incredible description. When someone says you're not a body, what's hearing it is a body. The claiming is faster than any message. It's going to claim the message. Like the first video we ever did was the sheep and the lion. Yeah? So it's an old story from India. So there's this lioness, and she has a cub. And the lioness gets killed, and now the cub is orphaned. So the cub is roaming around, doesn't know what it is, where it's going, and it sees this herd of sheep. And so it starts moving towards the sheep, and the sheep knows what it is, so they get a little worried. But then they realize this freaking lion doesn't know it's a lion. So they ingratiate him into the herd, and he starts living like a sheep. You know, he's trying to chew cud, it's not working well. They curl his hair, and he's sitting around listening to sheep, worrying who's going to be the next sweater. It goes on, and he's trying his best, but there's something weird. But he meets a sheep woman, and they have kids, and they look a little strange, but they just rationalize that away. And he goes on in this life of being a sheep, you know, and he becomes a sheep elder and stuff like that. And then one day, they're all just grazing, and then this big lion comes into the savannah and starts running towards the herd, and they all take off. And then the big lion sees this lion in the side of his eye, and he says, oh, another lion's joining the hunt, but then he realizes it's running with the sheep. So he veers off over after the lion, and he grabs it, and the young lion rolls over and says, oh, Mr. Lion, please don't eat me, I'm a humble sheep. Now the lion's a little perplexed, so he grabs the young lion, and he takes it to the water hole, and he sticks both their heads out, and they see the reflection, and the young lion gets it, right? Now the old lion goes raw, and the young lion roars. Now, before, the young lion, as a sheep, would have had to take 4 months of roaring lessons, yeah, because he thought it was a sheep. But as soon as it saw that it wasn't a sheep, by seeing it was a lion, yeah, it realized, though I thought I was a sheep, though I lived like I was a sheep, I wasn't a sheep. Yeah? So as soon as it sees that it's the lion, it doesn't have to try to become like a lion anymore. The only way he would try to become like a lion if it was still identified as the sheep. Yeah? So the best thing, not to talk to the lion sheep, let's say, about being a lion's not going anywhere, because the sheep catches the message and turns it into I can become like a lion. That's not the message. The message is you're a lion. So the Buddha, you're talking to the Buddha about the Buddha. Hey Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. How long would it take for the Buddha to get that? But then, if the Buddha is in the act of being identified as Steve, you can talk to Steve till it's blue in the face, and he's never going to get it. This is it. This is the simple little move. If you're in the act of being identified as a someone, you're not going to know it. Yeah? And therefore, everything you hear about, quote unquote, what you are, you're going to hear it from what you're not. And it's going to neuter the message of what you are. It's sort of like that lion, let's say. It forgets completely, and then some other sheep and him get together, and they're starting to feel really like they're adolescent sheep, and they're getting upset, they're not enjoying themselves. So they come upon this book about lions, and they read it, and they go, wow, I'd love to have the qualities of a lion. So they get together, and they start meeting, and they find some lion pictures, they put it in nice frames, get some candles, and they come in, and they have roaring lessons, and they're trying to straighten their hair and everything like that. And how do I sound? Ba, ba, oh, getting closer there, Bill. Ba, ba, ba. And then go on and on. And in their little group, they're quite noble. Oh, look at Bill. He's trying to become like a lion. What an incredible sheep he is. But the fact is, if they are a lion, it doesn't go anywhere. A lion can't become a lion because it already is. Just like I would say, oh, I could have been a professional surfer, but I got run over by a car, so obviously I can't become a professional surfer. But I just want to exclude the fact that I got run over and just thinking, oh, I could be. This is the thing. You're thinking about being a lion from a sheep. See if you're the sheep. If you're not the sheep, you may discover you're the lion. How long will it take? No time. Where? Here. And I'm not budging. I'm not helping anybody. Just going to give you the message, and there you have it. Because, you know, all our somethings turn into nothing. Just stay with nothing, and you will realize it's everything. See, if you came, maybe you'd see it, but because you're always here, we're not picking it up. It's like the fish could be going to wet classes, you know? When it's immersed, it's wet constantly. What you are, you can't notice. You're noticing everything else from it. You cannot experience what you are. You're experiencing everything else from it. You can't study what you are. You're the studying of everything else. You can't understand what you are. It's the basis of all understanding. You can't hear what's hearing. You can't feel what's feeling. You cannot taste what's tasting. You cannot see what's seeing. You cannot smell what's smelling. You cannot have an experience of what you are. You'd have to be something else to do that, yeah? How can you experience what you are? The only possibility I humbly believe we have is being it. And I humbly believe we're being it right now, even though we don't think so. I don't think all the think in the world could change one iota of what you are. Could not leave one lasting effect. It can affect this. It can affect nerves. It can affect that. It can affect the thoughts. But it cannot affect what you are. What you're looking for out here is something you can express here. You're not going to find it here. You're going to bring it in. So, if you get a little flavor of it, all you need is a flavor, that's all. Once it gets a taste, it can imagine or entertain everything. Right now we're starved because the possibilities we get from the head are in time. So the possibility of being inherently okay is made into I will be okay, or I have memories I was once okay. It's slavery. You're serving the wrong master, in a sense. So, any questions? Yes.
How long did it take to stabilize this awareness that you had? Because I do often have this, I think I went in the same place. I don't have a personality, or I'm not a self. I see it completely as something that never had anything to do with me. And to get there is mostly very painful. It's like a breakdown. And then I'm there, and then this selfing starts again. It's like an application that starts on a computer, and then I'm back in this self, and it goes on like this for years now, so it kind of goes back and forth, and this back and forth is very stressful. So I'd like to know if you had this phase maybe too, this kind of, that it returned, and then you were...
The thing is, the feeling that feeling of losing it or moving afar from it isn't you. Yes?
Yeah, but the state where you're completely free of it, and as you are now, I guess.
The stabilization isn't out here. You're not going to stabilize a boat that's on the sea of duality. It's contracting, expanding, close and far, all this, all that. It's being the underneath, the ocean, that's not moved by all this movement. All the movements are not of you. That's the point. The stabilization isn't something that can be produced. It's inherently available. You just lose interest in all the appearances of a you, basically. You start losing more interest in the appearances of you. This is what happened with me. I went to a talk such as this, yeah? The person was nicer than I was, really. Nice, loving gaze, very soft-spoken. It didn't matter what she said, because something, I shared. I said, man, I came in here, because I had read some of this stuff. I came in here watching these mental states, emotional states, physical states, but now that I heard what you've been saying, I realized that which was saying, it was here, seeing the mental states, the physical states, and the emotional state was a mental state, yeah? So it was one of the first times I caught the thief. So the aperture, like my mind, like a camera, opened up, yeah? And that, see here, I would still be taking me to be this, right? But this is here, yeah? So it went once, so the aperture opened up, and then I went around, I'm starting to feel clarity and all this, and then there was a subtle thing of thinking, oh, I'm the one, I'm getting very clear, and you're not, you know, I'm very, this and that, and then suddenly the camera, and I saw myself in front of the camera again. It happened like 8 times, and then it was like the 100th monkey syndrome. Yeah, you ever heard of it? So enough monkeys get the information and the whole tribe gets it. So my mind saw that which arises is not me. Yeah? So you may have a sense, but then that slippery little thing arises and you pin it that's you. That feels like it's going back in and out. It isn't you. There's just a movement going in and out. Yeah? That's all. So maybe it takes 1, maybe it takes 50, maybe it takes 80. Who knows? Maybe it takes none. But the thing is, the mind entertains it. The possibility is presented as a message, but it's the mind that gives life to it. It goes whoop, and opens up. So in some like old realizations in spirituality like this, things get like this. This goes like this. So now you see what you were what you believed, even the first 7 appearances, but the 8th one you really believe is you. You see, yeah, from here. So you see from behind the camera, and then you recognize what's always in front of the camera. And that which is in front of the camera is not going to get behind the camera. It's like here. Do you have brownie cameras in Germany? Probably not. Probably have great cameras. But in America, we have this little $10 camera. You could buy it at like a pharmacy. And it had like plastic lens. So you would just point and hope, because you couldn't even see the thing. And then you get the film developed, and maybe, you know, Fred was over here, but, you know, you vaguely caught him. And so, all right, so here's this brownie camera. Then there's this huge camera, HD, unbelievable. And this huge camera has like walking tripod, and it walks around. He sees the brownie, and he goes, hey, and looks through the brownie camera. But when it looks through the brownie camera, it suddenly takes itself to be the brownie camera. Yeah? So now the huge camera, with all the lenses, starts becoming identified with the brownie camera. Then the brownie camera, it starts feeling a little irritable restlessness and discontent as the brownie. So now it saves up money and buys like a $5,000 Nikon lens and puts it on the brownie. But what precedes the lens really dictates the picture, is that plastic little thing. So you can get $50,000 of lenses, but the original lens is neutering all the Nikon effect, because the brownie's going to override. everything you add to the brownie. Yes? What would happen? So therefore, and then suddenly the brownie comes upon this topic of finding your true self. Yeah? So the picture may be of this huge camera, beautiful HD. See, but the second lock is now the brownie, now the huge camera, as the brownie starts searching for the huge camera. But using the brownie to search for it. You see how it doesn't work? So what happens is, finally, the huge camera hears a message. Hey, you may not be the brownie camera. It entertains it, and suddenly it clicks. What happens? Do you have to like get a doctor and rip them apart? No, it never was the brownie camera. So it immediately backs off, yeah? Nothing is affected. The brownie camera didn't leave a tattoo on it. It was just exactly as it's always been, yeah? No matter how it saw it life, as soon as it sees, bam, this is the message. As simple as that. The message is, you're not a brownie camera, yeah? What? Maybe. And then what would happen if you pull them up back? Suddenly, this is another one we use, which is you're in one world, and it's the world of sense. Yeah. The only thing experience is feel. Okay. And so in this world, they have a scripture about what heaven would be like, which would be going in a bath of rose petals, thousands of rose petals, and the feeling of exquisite softness. Yeah. That would be nirvana, let's say. So in this world, there's gloves, and so the hand is in a glove, and the glove is sort of rough, and the hand forgets that it's a glove and takes itself to be the glove. So everything now the hand feels through the glove is interpreted by the glove, right? So it's a soft, like a baby's ass, feels like gravel, yeah, because the roughness of the glove. It doesn't matter what it meets, the glove is going to interpret whatever it meets, yeah? So what happens? Okay, maybe it gets tired of being a glove, but now it tries to become a non-glove as the glove. That doesn't freaking work. So suddenly, someone says, hey, you're a hand. You're not the glove. What happens? The hand pulls out and realizes, and then it touches some rose petals, and it knows fucking what heaven's like, yeah? Now what happens is, the hand, maybe in life, goes back into the glove, but it doesn't see it as glove anymore. Even though everyone else sees it as a glove, it knows it's a hand. No matter what evidence is occurring, what experiences are happening, it knows it's a hand, yeah? While the glove is on. See, what people want is they want to get the hand out of the glove and then fuck the glove. I'm going to live. No, the glove of this place is probably going to go over you. When you go to dinner, if they call Paul, you better look because you're going to miss. These great masters didn't forget their freaking names. Hey, Ramana, yeah? They're not out to lunch. Yeah, they're here. Yeah, so, all right, so now the glove's back on. Yeah? Now the glove starts talking because it's claimed that experience. It's claimed, it's like an epiphany. Do you use that word in German? Mm-hmm. Epiphany. If you've ever been experiencing it, it's sort of like an interruption in the linear story of Paul, yeah? You get whacked. And then, but when it ends, it usually coincides with this. I'm having an epiphany. As soon as the claiming of the epiphany occurs, which brings you into the picture, the epiphany's over. That's what's happening. It's just a humble invitation. You know, we're not having a retreat. Like intensives. Why would you want to go on an intensive? Isn't fucking Hamburg intense enough for it? It's insane. Just as a simple invitation, entertain it, see what happens. If you travel lighter, keep entertaining it. Yeah? And you know, the point is, where were you before this possibility? The gratitude of just the relief you've experienced. Yeah? I was just fried out when I got here. Now I'm just charged up. It's incredible. The beautiful thing, I would never come to Germany if I thought about it. Not that I don't, you know, but the fact that, thank God I don't think about it. Yeah. shows anyway. And we don't have a get ready, get set, go room. I don't prepare. You don't have to prepare to present what you are from what you are. So, any more questions? Yes?
Talking about this storyline, sheep, he saw himself in water. What would be such neuro? I mean, for example, your message, or what can be as such a neuro?
I don't know. Start here, but you know. See, this is just my opinion. I don't like the approach of seeing yourself as an affirming thing. I think it's more important to see what you're not than to hear about what you are. I just really do. So if the message has a negation as its base, you know, negating, like the whole thing of non-duality is not two. It's all non-duality is a negation. It's not saying the all-powerful one, it's saying there's not two. Because you are the all-powerful one. Yeah? So if any teaching has negation as its base, that's the style I like. Yeah? Because I went to a lot of satsangs and heard beautiful attempts of describing what we are, but if what we're not is hearing it, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah? I much rather turn the message, because you can describe what you're not. You can study what you're not. You can understand what you're not. You can't apply that to what you are. All you can be concerning what you are is being it. But you can study what you're not. Yeah? So with the hopes that you'll have a hit and go, hey, maybe I'm not that. Maybe what would happen if we used to do in the recovery thing. We just give a simple example. You put 3 words up here: money, health, relationships, and everyone would create a feeling, yeah, from where you believe you are. And now I'm going to change the word without changing any letter of it. I'm going to change the meaning of it. My money, my health, my relationship. Yeah. Now I wish all of you would have a lot of money, but I don't want you to have any my money. See the difference? The my changes the meaning of what comes after it. That's the selfing. Thought, my thought, totally different. Feeling, my feeling, totally different. Let's say girlfriend, having a great time. My girlfriend, up on stalking charges. Yeah? Once it's my girlfriend, I think I should know what she's doing all the time, or something like that. The my is our power being misdirected by the mental state. We're like light that forgot its light, really. It's crazy. But the mental state has it because it's using our light to illuminate the narration. It's feeding us, yeah? Yeah, so. I feel everyone has the right to hear it. Doesn't matter to me. But after this happened with me, I never left this topic because I really, truly, humbly believe that if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from its effects. It's like the seeing itself will be used by a mental state to be blind to the seeing. All you're looking for will be the blindness to it. So, any more questions? Yes?
I am wondering what your perspective is on this, when this ecstasy, inner ecstasy, is just way much bigger than anything you can experience in the outer world, except from when the inner ecstasy and the outer enjoying of something somehow overlap. So how can we deal with this? What is your perspective on this? Because there are moments when you kind of lose interest for many of the things in the world, and it's not it's not boredom, it's just like you're not anymore in the kindergarten. What's your perspective on this? Do we have the, let's say, the natural course to just take with us also the material world, and progressively everything will be transformed to fit a different state of consciousness?
I believe the action figure, yeah, is like, has its own little world, and then what we are, yeah. And the action figure can be an expression of that, and the best way it can be an expression of that is the attitude of surrender, really. Yeah? Realize you're not gonna put anything fucking together or anything like that. Yeah, just see what happens and you'll find out. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you hear there's, in non-duality as it's being presented now, there's the absolute that there is no body, there is no this, there is no that. But it can get a little dry, you know. I like a little bit of that with the Sufi take, which is, you know, they're calling it the beloved and sort of more of a poetic expression. I feel like in non-duality there's a lot of non-dual Pharisees, you know. They know the letter of the law, but they don't have the spirit of it. And so I see this as an expression, yeah, and the mental state, if the mental state is directing it, it's gonna be a certain expression, and then if something other than the mental state, or let's say that which is prior to thought directs it, you'll see it's like the good tree cannot bring forth bad fruit, and the bad tree cannot bring forth good fruit. You'll see it by its fruits, yeah.
So
Yeah.
can it have to do with a belief that may be there and not identified?
But that
Or
sounds like a
it's
lot of
something
doing. Just
normal.
find out, see how the chips fall. Just you'll have a sense. And I'm not talking about ecstasy or peak experiences or anything. I'm talking about ordinary dog shit awareness. Just the basic what's happening at all times, yeah? You're not gonna get there or manage yourself to stay there. You just realize you never left, yeah? So once you see you're not you, a lot of the, see, look at the idea of getting into the moment. A lot of books were sold based on the premise you can be out of a moment. So they'd sell you a book that would say, oh, how to get into the moment. And then many people wouldn't even read the whole book, but they'd order the next one, how to really get into the moment. And then how to really, really get into the moment. But the fact is, that's all based on the impossibility that you can be out of the moment. This is what the mental state does. It tries to say it has a lot of power it doesn't have. You may believe you can be exiled from what you are, but that's not a fact. You can't be exiled from what you are. It's absolute, yeah? So then because the mental state will come up the cellar, the skylight, it's gonna try to sell you, and as soon as if it gets a little twitch, then if it's sort of like, you know, I had a hernia, you ever hear a hernia? And then I look for a hernia belt. Next day on all my little computer things, hernia belts.
Yeah.
They fucking know, and they start trying to sell you something. It's like mimicking the head. The head gets the attention and then fucking throws it in there, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like this forever. This is not about improving that. That thing, let that go to seed and see how good it turns out. But you're not, this is not about managing and stuff like that. It's about realizing certain ideas, and they're very disarming, let's say, yeah? Because listen to the language. It must be same in German. The German language probably implies that you have a lot to do with shit you have nothing to do with. Yeah? I have this example in English. I hadn't been in New York for a while. I went there for a talk, and my hair, you know, I had long hair, and a guy who used to know me came in and says, hey, Paul, you're growing your hair. I said, yeah, I'm growing my hair. Doing pretty good, you know? And I said, and he's balding, I said, you're not doing too well. And I said, yeah, I joined a group and we grow our hair together and it seems to get much more lustrous and things. And why don't you come Saturdays, 3 hours every Saturday, and sit with us and let's see what happens. And I could have pride about it, but all I did was not cut it. Yeah? I had nothing to do with the hair growing. But the language implies I have a lot to do with shit I have nothing to do with. So I was surfing one day about 4 years ago. And my knee went out in the water. So when I met people and they go, what happened, Paul? And I said, I hurt my knee. So it sounds like I went in the water with a hammer and just bang, bang, bang. But really what happened was I became aware that the knee went out. But the language sounds like I had a lot to do with it. Yeah. Oh, I hurt my knee today. Fucking crazy. And then you get guilty for, it's insane. So the language is like a huge sense of ownership with shit you have nothing to do with. And we're listening to it, and you're just trancing out. We are. If you heard an advertisement for something you didn't need 70,000 times, you'd probably have a need to get it, Well, this thing is going on and on and on. It implies, insinuates, assumes, presupposes that you're the thinker, you're the feeler, you're the taster, you're the toucher, you're the doer, you're the loser, you're the winner. It's constantly claiming stuff and writing a narration about it, and then you get stuck in the story in a sense. So at one point, a thought, so you have a thought right now, and it's driving you crazy. It's not contagious, yeah? I'm seeing it as yours, I seem to have an immunity to it, but the same thought, if appeared where I am, and I held it as mine, it could drive me crazy. It's not the thought. It's not the feeling. It's what's claiming the thought and the feeling. You are not going to get out of thoughts because you were never in thoughts in a sense. What you do is see that you were never the thinker. See, this way is, you can't get out of an imaginary place. You can't solve an imaginary problem. You see, the sense of being out of it doesn't come from escaping. It comes from realizing you were never in it, yeah? So you're not trying to get into the moment, you can't be out of it. You're not trying to get out of self, you can't be in it. See it. See if it gets corrected. See if it fits. If it fits, wear it. Come to satsang every once in a while. Enjoy the space. Yeah. Donate large amounts of money to me. That's going to really improve it. It's going to make it. And then I'll show you the secret handshake too. But no, this is an invitation. And I'm supposed to become obsolete, really. It was the worst career choice to get into this. Because there's no fucking security. Because you don't need me at all. I'm just pointing it out, just like someone pointed out with me. I never saw her again. Hopefully that won't happen with us, but I never saw her again. But she did a great service, It's an incredible gift that she participated in. And so the same thing. Put it out there, see, check out your own, what's going on. And see, when there's an action, is there a sense of being the actor of it? Yes, it's being produced. When there's thoughts, there's a sense of being the thought about or the thinker. That's produced. When there's a feeling, oh, it's my feeling, that's produced. Yeah? Now, it's going to continue doing the thing, but it doesn't have to have all the attention and interest that makes you up. Yeah? A lot of it can be withdrawn, and that interest and attention will enrich your day now. And to me, the presence that you sense is undirected interest and attention, really. It's not being directed by the mental state, going into the past and the future. It's just now, and you feel your own onness in a sense. You're like a Geiger counter. You're not 2 levels below a coconut. You're sentient, so you sense something. You sense your own intimacy, yeah? Yeah. And then you feel it now in the room. Yeah, that's it. That's the clincher. Don't you sense it? A little thick now? No? We'll have to stay with you for a couple hours, work Yeah. All right, any more questions? Yes?
I assume you're familiar with Ken Wilber?
No,
So
I've
he's-
heard of him, yeah, but I'm not
Anyway,
familiar.
he talks a lot about the pre-trance fallacy, and so unfortunately I don't remember it like in all the details, but roughly it's something along the lines of, you know, in spirituality a lot of people strive to get back to the state of being like a child, where you don't identify with your thoughts or your life experience, and stuff just happens, and you know, you are just present and aware. But I think he says that after being a child and, you know, being an adolescent, and then a grown-up, you have this obviously like a psychological development that you go through, and your awareness also kind of develops. And I'm just wondering if you kind of looked into this more, because obviously, you know, what you're saying is it's irrelevant how old you are, what kind of spiritual or, you know, psychological level of development or maturity you are at. But maybe I just come back tomorrow and prepare this a little more clear. I don't know if you have an idea of what I'm getting at with this.
No.
Okay.
What would be
Yeah.
the question, because I'm also curious on that topic. What would be the question that
No,
we ask
basically, I think basically what Ken Wilber always tries to say is that people confuse this being like a child with being like a fully matured human being that has, you know, gotten what you're talking about.
Yeah, that interests me as well, the question. Very good question, thank you.
Very good.
But it isn't about being a child or being an adult.
Yeah.
Those are appearances, yeah?
Yeah, it's the action figure.
Prior to that, so the adult is never gonna go back to the child. Yeah, but prior to it, yes? Prior to the one who wants to go back or doesn't want to go back or is advanced too much and is too psychologically mature, that's all body brain, yeah? This is not the vehicle to arrive at where you already are. You just see you're not that, yeah? Be kid, adult, whatever, yeah? So that those journeys, which of course, let's say you're an adult seemingly. Of course it sounds like it's desirous for the adult to maybe become like a kid again, yeah? But the adult is still there, yes? This message is before the adult. So that which wants to become like a kid isn't you. Yeah? That doesn't want to become like a kid isn't you. You're neither of them. Yeah? That's the beauty of it. So a lot of things assume a reality I don't believe. I believe this is dreaming. Like the great Zen master Huang Po says, whatever can be perceived, yeah, cannot be perceiving. That's how I feel it. Yeah. So basically, we're talking as if that which can be perceived is going to go back to a previous that which can be perceived and be a better that which can be perceived. I like that what can be perceived cannot be perceiving. I'm in that camp. Yeah. So I really see this as dreaming. I really do. I believe right now we're all in the act of dreaming. And it's not like you're doing it. It's the dreamt isn't doing it. See, so again, when the dreamt hears that it's the dreaming, then 50 Mercedes, you know, fucking Vestal Virgins and shit like that. No, the message is to the dreaming that it's not the dreamt. Yeah, not the dreamt that it's the dreaming. Yeah, the message is to the dreaming. Hey, I'm not the dreamt. Instead of the message that you're dreaming is claimed by the dreamt, and now you're thinking, well, I'm dreaming, I'm getting everything I want, yeah? You see? That simple little move. So I don't have, when I hear these premises, I don't believe in the premise that there is an adult and a child. I believe it's dreaming, yeah? Really. And, like, do you ever hear of the Course in Miracles? Famous little download. Well, they say it beautifully. They say, you and I are the dreaming of the dream. I don't like the word dream because it sounds like a thing, so you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. We forget that we're dreaming. How the hell can that happen? How could the dreaming forget that it's dreaming? Well, maybe through the identification as the dreamt. So the dreaming now takes itself to be the character in the movie, and then the movie seems as real can be. Now, this wants to get out of the reality of the movie, but that's like a mental denial, keeping the character intact. It doesn't work. But seeing you're not the dreamt from the dreaming works. Seeing you're not the dreamt from the dreamt doesn't work. Seeing you're not the dreamt from the dreaming works. Yeah? You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as you were saying earlier, I mean, I get these tastes or flavors of it all the time. So it's just a matter of obviously, you know, stop doing the selfing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Simple. It's simple. You stop trying to get to where you are from where you're not. By seeing you're not that. And then you get a hit. That's where I am. And then when you get the hit, sometimes if it hits you and it tells you in no time at all, it says, it's always been this way. Yeah? So basically it informs us that nothing ever happened in a sense to disturb this condition, this prior condition. The condition itself tells you. It downloads and it goes, it's always been this way. So it erased all the meaning I had given for 50 years and then 20 and then hundreds of years in the future. Erased all of that meaning as if it never had any meaning, because that's the case. Yeah? So in a sense, if you see, there's a statement in recovery, it says, we use acronyms, so fear, so false evidence appears real, all right? So the mental state is the thought system, and the narration is presenting a lot of false evidence, yeah? A lot of times. So like in the morning you wake up and you go, oh, it's going to be a terrible day. You have no idea what the day's going to be like, but the false evidence appears to be true to you because you're addicted to the thoughts, yeah? So false evidence appears real. How can false evidence appear real unless it appeared real to what's real? Which is us, as the dreaming, not the dreamt, as the dreaming. That's it. Yeah. You get a hit, a taste, and then you get lots of hits, but now there's a stabilization. The underlying, not the hit itself, but like a note, like a bass note. Yeah. And then there's a keying into that, and there's stabilization. While the all going. Because now you're not following this me. No, you see the but the baseline holds the attention. Yeah. Yes, that's resting.
Obviously, you can't take anything personally. If you are not selfing, you can't take anything personally. So.
But this will take everything personally.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you're not wasting any more time trying to change the source code of the action figure. The source code of the action figure is self-centeredness. Yeah? The narration's going to go on, that it's all about you, the thoughts are going to be claimed, all like that. You don't waste time going there. You see you're not that. And then it goes on, but it doesn't have, the attention is now free-ranging. It's not wedded to this preoccupation. There's attention to it, some of it goes there, but now it's free-ranging. You're available, fucking far out. Yeah? And you're always available, and that means you're present, and when you're present and available, you're of service without any fucking effort. Yeah? Yeah. You get it, and it's seamless. Once you get the taste of it, its logic never deviates. Never, never. It's seamless. It's beautiful. You get the little crip, like, hey, whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. Oh, wait a minute. The dog head, what? These things start happening, then it's always, what? Like that. It never deviates. It's beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Paul, what was your moment next to the real lion as the orphan lion, realizing I'm a lion, not a sheep?
Yeah. Well, now.
Was there some?
Now.
moment?
Now.
No.
Yeah. if something happens, see like, let's say, here in the story, it would sound like something happened, right? So something happened, but then in the something happened, it tells you it's always happening, so did it happen? Yeah? It couldn't have been an event if it's always eventful. That's all. You know what I mean? So in a way it's true, something happened, but when it dawned, it says it's always been that way, so then something actually didn't happen. So yeah, I did all this stuff, I studied, I did that, yes, but then when I seemed to arrive, it told me none of that ever happened, so yes, it's true, and then it's not true, in a sense, yeah? So you say, did this thing happen? Now it is, yeah. But I could say, oh, March 12th, I went to Kmart, Walmart, yeah? And I went in aisle 3, and a toaster fell off and hit me in the head, and I woke up. But if I told you that, some of us would go to fucking Walmart, try to go to aisle 3 and have a friend hit the toaster so we could try to reproduce it. But it's not a producible thing. It may look like it was produced, but when it dawns on you, it says it was never produced. Yeah? I don't know, it's hard as, you know. Yeah. You don't get anything, really. That's the beauty of it. These talks, I never get anything out of it, ever. It's like a big hole. Yeah? And when I go home, people don't even ask me, how was your trip? I say it's over, basically. Really. It's like, you don't need memory much. If you're somewhere, you know, if you were there, it will be completely forgotten almost, really. You know, and you just, because here is capturing, you know. Here is what's happening. So you're engaged, but once it's not what's happening, it's forgotten pretty much. Yeah. That's traveling lighter in a lot of ways. The problem is you keep making the same mistakes because you forgot to remember. I didn't like going to taking Ryanair, you know. I didn't like that. I forget when I go home, and the next trip I do it again, and I go, I don't like Ryanair. I have to write notes. I'm going to write notes about this trip. I'm not going on Ryanair. So yeah. Any more?
Get it done too. I hate Ryanair. And then you will see it all the time.
Yes.
If we may ask more questions.
Yeah.
Also from the category of inner ecstasies, when you kind of get a glimpse of also being a creator. So it's like you actually realize, well, at least in my perspective, spirituality is not just being, it's being and creating. It's like yin and yang, from my perspective, okay?
Yeah.
But I get your perspective. So so the question kind of disappeared. If you disagree with it.
Those are the questions I really like. They disappear while you're trying to ask them.
So my question would be...
But the persistence is unbelievable.
Very structured mind. Yeah, my question would be...
If I had a question, my question would be...
when that's something that's creating and that's something that's observing together come and kind of see, wow, this is so huge and so multidimensional, and the creation is so awesome, and you get into the role of being a creating and understanding this multidimensionality. That is very fascinating. So I was curious, what's your perspective on this? Because whether you are already realizing you are that, or you are not
No,
realizing yet.
the realization comes from realizing what you're not. you don't realize what you are. You are being what you are. You realize what you're not. There's a miss there. For this
That's
message
very
that I deliver, in a
interesting.
sense, you realize what you're not. You don't realize what you are because you're being what you are. Yeah? So you can't have a realization of what you are, so you get a certain intimacy by realizing what you're not. Yeah? Yeah. This is the direction I'm sticking to. Yeah. Other people, they're all valid. You have to see, it's not what comes after, it's mind that's always before everything. Somebody could wake up reading a telephone book, and other people won't wake up for 40 years with intense practice. It doesn't matter what comes after, it's mind. Mind precedes everything, big M mind. So, if you don't believe this is dreaming, then why the hell, how can placebos work? How can placebos, which are sugar pills, work just as good as, in same percentage of a $500 pill? If the person believes it's the $500 pill, it works just as good as the $500 pill. That's dreaming. In a real place, there'd be no placebos. Yeah? The salt tablet wouldn't do squat, and the 500 probably wouldn't do much either, but make someone rich. But, you know what I mean? Just look at your day-to-day life. The evidence is there. I mean, if all roads lead back to you, I mean, you can't get away. Just the subjective experience is saying, you know, you're at this event. The event isn't going to make you something. You're going to make it something. Yeah? You're the dreaming. As what we are. The activity of what we are here is dreaming. Dreaming, dreaming, verbing. No nouns to be found, just verbing. No entrance, no exit, no observing, none of that. That's all in the dreaming. Dreaming. Yeah? So, in this, by seeing what you're not, you get an intimacy of what you are. If you're looking for what you are, you're never going to freaking see it. But if you start seeing what you're not, you get a hit of what you are. You are the seeing of what you're not, basically. See the logic? That's the flavor. That's the flavor for me. Yeah. And it doesn't deviate. It doesn't turn into, but then you start looking for, no, it's just that. Leave it at that and see how it plays out. Yeah? Yes?
If I would follow this consequently, then I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not that. Then I don't need to breathe, I don't need to eat, I don't need to live actually. So I wonder if I completely follow how you explain, how you try to free yourself, I think I would free myself from my life so much that I would stop living at all. Because I wouldn't care at all. So I'm free, but I do not live anymore. I wonder how
Yes.
this is why I dream, why do I live? You say this, what we call living is a dream, okay?
Dreaming.
It's dreaming, but why does this exist? And yeah, so where's the sense in all of it? Yeah, sorry, many questions.
No, see, it's just, this is a typical thing because we believe it's us. Yeah? The action figure is wound up. It's doing its thing. Yeah? If you're not going to lay on a couch for 4 days or shit like that. You're not going to do nothing. Yeah? The action figure has its own little destiny. See, this is the absurd reach of relevance the mental state wants to apply. It still wants to say it's you, so if you lose interest in you, you won't breathe or anything. You're not breathing anyway. Something's breathing, yeah? The blood is getting pumped. If we had control of the functions, we would have lived a second. we would have been distracted and stopped beating the heart. Most of the whole thing is involuntary. You don't have anything to do with it. You have a destiny as this, and you're going to fulfill it. But see, the mental state wants to say, oh, I have the final say, and if this happens, I'll lose all interest. That's bullshit. Watch what happens, yeah? Watch what happens. That end is off. That's not what happens, yeah? If it was you, maybe it would happen, but there isn't a you. There's a you, but it isn't you. You see? This thing has its own little action. It's destiny. Yeah? It probably has 8 zillion breaths. You're not going to cut them off until they're spent and all like this. It's the arrogance of the selfing that keep trying to prove its relevance. I'm going to make a big effect. I'm not going to do fucking anything. I'm just going to lay on the couch. I won't breathe or eat or anything like that. It's baloney. It's a talking box. Yep. Yap, 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 yap. You know, the funny thing is, people are listening to the head, yeah? And the head is on a time delay. So what happens at the moment of death, and you pass away, and you're waiting for the head to tell you, hey, you're dead? It's shut off. It's like a part of the body. The voice box, this voice in your head doesn't have wings and it's going to fly away. It's produced by the brain and body. Yeah? When you die, you're not going to get the report that, oh, I died. You're going to be in limbo land because you missed the fucking bus once again. I have the schedule. I know what. No, there it goes. Because the sense of you once again. Yeah? You won't believe. Well, yeah.
Well, if I
You know, let me just say one thing. Okay. This is the dilemma. Okay. Ramana says this thing. All right, the greatest mystery is reality attempting to attain reality. Yeah? Okay, so reality is having a difficult time attaining reality. So it starts figuring what's blocking me from reality. And then sooner or later it comes to you, yeah? So now you, not what you are, but what you're not, sees itself as the big obscuring factor. It's got to be me. I've got to lose the ego, this and that. And so, all right, so here's reality, but as this, trying to attain reality. And yet, as Paul, to attain reality, I have to be totally destroyed. You know what? You're going to take a long fucking spiritual path. You don't want to get to the goal, obviously, because it means your absolute destruction. Hey, wait a minute. I think I'll meander over here, buy some yoga pants over there. There's going to be a conflict of interest, yeah? Obviously. So, what? All right, I really love the idea of spiritual. I'd love to have spiritualization, but it means my total fucking annihilation. You're not going to be running for the fucking goal line. You're going to be dragging your feet like for lifetimes. No, you're not that. That voice is representing the obscuring activity. You are not that. Its take on what the results will be when that you're not finds that which it is, of not eating or shit like that, is total fantasy land. Yes? The action figure is going to go ahead, do its thing, it's going to fart, it's going to burp, it's going to eat, it's going to shit, it's going to procreate, it's going to do whatever. That's its destiny. The dream is on. Yeah? The dream is on. This isn't transcending the dream. This is the ride. It's not on a ride. This is the ride. We want to get relief from the ride, but as the ride. It's like a car's never getting out of a car. If you see, hey, I'm the passenger, what happens? Hey, you can open the door and get out. But the car's never fucking getting out of the car. So, I'm just saying my opinion. Everyone's opinion is as valid as possible. But this is how it's being seen, and I'm just trying to say it the best I can. Yeah. With the hopes that you get like everyone here has been served the spiritual subpoena. You know, the message has been delivered. Now, it can be neutered by being thought about, but let's see what happens. If it gets in there, it's like a painting that bleeds through the canvas. You don't apply the paint. You start, see what's happening. Yeah. Now you start enjoying peace and understanding, serenity. Things happen with no thought or effort on your part. You're placed in a position of neutrality. The problem does not exist for you. Those are byproducts. Acceptance is a byproduct of change in mind. Yeah? You can't do acceptance. It's an effect. It's a present. It's an expression. Yeah. No? Yes.
So what do you mean with the character or whatever you are, when you don't perceive you, is following its own destiny? What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Following its own destiny.
It's not.
What
It's got its
destiny?
destiny as an action figure. So if you're going to have cancer, you get cancer. If I got run over twice by a car in one night, same car, that's sort of a weird thing. This is what happens. There's events and stuff you're gonna come up against, and it's going to occur. It seems like a destiny to me, yeah? But while that's going on, that which I am is that which I am, yeah? This is gonna be 90 years at most. 90 years of expression, almost nothing, yeah? Even in time it isn't much, but what we are is timeless. So this is a blip, yeah? I am not against it. I'm telling you, the best thing that ever happened to this was finally being seen as not the center of the universe and having the thought system lift up, because this cannot take being everything that's thought about. It can't. It cannot take being the center of the universe. It's a Toyota pickup. It's not a fucking chariot of the gods. It just has its little actions and it's going to do them. Yeah? All the while, what is what is. I don't spend any time trying to improve this spiritually. I improve it with breathing and some stretching and shit like that. Good food, but what I am, that urban renewal project was canceled a long time ago. You know, urban renewal project, you know, tons of money going to building and building. No, what you see is what you get is this now, you know, all that's over. And what's shown up is acceptance. And I humbly believe the last hook you ever get off of is your own.
So whatever you do, what happens, happens. So who's running it? So whatever you do, what happens, happens?
Yes.
So who's running it?
I don't know.
Good question.
I don't think I think I'm not privy to that if there is anything. I don't believe there is. And if it was, it wouldn't be a who, it'd be what.
So it's only hazard? You say destiny on one side and then sounds like hazard on another.
Don't get caught up in that. It's just, things are happening, yeah? You want to call it destiny, you want to call it, I figure the action figure had a date with a Chevy Monte Carlo, yeah? That's what I got run over by. Did you have a date with a Chevy Monte Carlo? Probably not. A car running you over. So in a sense, that was its destiny in a sense. In other words, you're going to have different experiences than I'm going to have, yeah? You're going to be born in Germany, let's say. I'm born in America. Who knows? Different things. So these are certain, it's like the movie is set up, yeah? And then you play it out. Now, if you feel like you have free will, exert it and do the next right thing, yeah? I don't try to convince this thing it doesn't have free will because it's built into its programming. So it chooses a soy latte instead of a milk latte. And it buys pants instead of, you know, shorts. So therefore it's acting as if it has free will all day. Do I believe it has free will? No. But does it believe it has free will? Yes. You see it? There's something that's always going on and then this going on. Yeah? to me, this going on is, let's say, the cart, and what's always going on is the horse. Instead of having this going on as the horse, and that which what's always going on as the forgotten cart. It's always that simple. You just see it differently, yeah? If you feel like you can change or stop doing something, then do it, yeah? If you don't feel like that, well, this is always going to feel like that.
For me, either someone else is running it or I'm running it.
No, why does there have to be someone running it? That's the selfing. That's the dilemma. See, there's a verb, and then the verb has to imply there must be a noun somewhere. So if there's doing, there must be a doer. That's the logic of the mental state. It's the perfect, that's its essence. It can't just see something is happening. It has to believe something or someone's doing it. Why is that?
But why would things happen?
And then the why comes. Yes, why not?
Somehow the next question is, what is there logic? Is it predestiny? Is there God? Whatever,
But what about right now? What does matter then? Let's ask, who does it matter to? All those questions.
Well, me.
Well, and are you that me? Are you that me?
Well, maybe this me or the other one.
No, are you that me? Are you that me?
But something that concerns me is interested in this question.
Okay, so something's interested in it. Yeah? But does that imply it's you that's interested in it?
Maybe.
That's the whole selfing. That's why it's just humbly presented. Maybe you'll see it. You'll see that which is making a statement that you feel that way may not be you. So maybe the meaning of the feeling will become lesser if it isn't about you. That's my feeling. Instead of trying to change the feeling, just see is it you having the feeling. That's where the relief lies, not in working and trying to change feelings and thoughts, but just see if it's you. If it's not you, you'll lose interest in these questions. You really will. And you'll just be rooted now. Yeah? But because, see, this is like, I would say, for me, it's mind candy. Yeah? I want to know all this stuff. But who wants to know it? And what does it do for you? If you knew you were fucked, you'd still fucked. I've gotten very dumb in spirituality, and I love it, man. I have no interest in spirituality. I have no interest in whys. I have no interest in what does this all mean. It doesn't fucking matter. There is obviousness happening right now. If you can feel it before the narration, it will make traveling seemingly as the narration a lot easier. Yeah. That's what I wanted. I wanted an ease and comfort and a satisfaction and a contentment. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't. I had no fucking clue. But now I know because it's been affected through me. Not by me. That's fucking for sure. The me rises and attempts to claim it like it does everything else. But I'll tell you, there is so much that is untouchable. The self doesn't, the me doesn't even buy its story of being the one. It's so obvious it has nothing to do with it that it's left pristine and untouched, and it's quite beautiful. Yeah? Yeah. It's a quota, and this is it. 3 questions. Spend it wisely.
Okay, then I will.
Save it.
This was not
Save
a
it.
question.
Save it. Save it.
I actually had a pretty nice picture that captures what you are saying to her.
Fantastic.
If I am
Yeah.
allowed. So it's like, if you can imagine, it's like a flower, one point, and it's like this, like a flower. Like something is watching everything inside you. You as an ego, you are here, but in your ego somehow, there is nothing that it's not already all that you are. So when you are here, you try to control your life and lead your life, but you sense, because you are connected to this allness, you sense that you have limiting beliefs, and that if you let the control out, these limiting beliefs may lead you in totally wrong directions, or like directions which you don't like. But then what he says, it's like you come from here, you just let the leading from this place, so it's still in a way you, it's just a larger you.
I understand what you're saying, but my question would be like this larger me then, you know, if it is pre-programmed, is someone else connected?
This is no programming here.
But this,
In between.
for me, it has to have some kind of a sense, or even if I have no control, like let's say I have zero control and I'm, you know, just, but still, like, my question remains.
Okay,
you know,
can I say something?
Yeah.
If there was a larger you, it wouldn't have any questions. Really, the questions come from, in this example, the smaller you. So, in a way, to distract the attention from the larger you and go into another pursuit to get an answer for that which is insatiable anyway. An answer isn't going to do what you'd like it to do for you. It isn't. Someone could explain destiny and everything like that. It's still not going to turn into what you would hope from by getting an answer. Because it's ravenous. It's an addict. Yeah? It wants to know. And that's why, to me, well, we're here in Germany, so I'll answer questions, but in most cases, I don't answer questions, because if you starve the questioner, the answerness of the person becomes obvious, yeah? If you starve the answer from getting questions answered, then the answer becomes obvious, yes? So no, see, those concerns are, in your example, I would say humbly, because that larger you doesn't give a shit about knowledge, really. It doesn't. Knowledge is the booby prize. Being, yeah? Being mutes a lot of those drives, yeah?
But actually what you're saying is just stay in the sensation, some kind of the sensation, and cut the thoughts, and then...
No, I'm not. I'm not saying cut the thoughts, and I'm not saying to stay in the sensation. You cannot get out of it, first of all.
Yeah, you cannot.
And the thoughts are fine and dandy. Just watch how the thoughts are being used. Is there some addition to the thought that implies there's a my that is either the thought about or the thinker? See it. If you catch the burglar in your kitchen going into the silverware and you follow it, it's you. Yeah? You will see that it's the dreaming that's catching the dreamt, instead of the dreamt trying to catch the dream.
Why don't you want to share this? I mean, how is it coming?
Fucking God knows. You know why? Really what happened? I was doing talks in recovery for many, many years. Then we got a website, which was a mistake. People from outside of recovery saw the website, started getting in touch with me. First it was interviews, which I lost my anonymity because I'm sort of out to lunch, because my face was on the videos. So therefore, fuck it. Then I started getting introduced to people, came to a group like this at first, and I didn't really feel motivated to talk because I thought they were all fine. You know what I mean? I did. But then I saw the spiritual seeking as an illness, which is different because, see, when you're a drug addict, there's interventions, you know? The cops intervene or something. But here, no one's going to come up and say, hey, can't come to another meeting. Come on, let's go. Don't make a fuss. Let's get out of here. No. People are going to come on and on and on and on. They're going to go to 30 freaking retreats, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah? On and on and on, looking for what can't be found. That's what compels me. I talked in LA and the people said, oh, you went to satsang, so you're just sharing about what you heard. No, I'm sharing because I didn't hear this. I didn't hear this warning. And there's no board of spiritual governors that you have to send your retreat application, and they go, no retreat for you, like the soup Nazi, because the person's been on 30 retreats. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. No one's putting a stop to it. It's insane. Some lady got in touch with me on the internet, had spent $1 million. She'd stay up 13 hours every night watching videos. Fucking insane. Insane. I could hear her kids, not now, not now. I had 2 sessions with her on this thing, never heard from her again. I'm hoping that something happened. Or she probably just moved to someone else. Yeah, so that's why. Something that, like an inner resource got tapped, and I'm just being used for transportation. The action figure is totally fucking reluctant to do this. It was hoping for years, because I keep talking about nothing, but there's something. I'm going to get something. But about a couple years ago, it fucking finally had the rude awakening. I'm not getting shit. So it's like, whoa. I mean, I don't even want to do much of it anymore. Yeah, because there's nothing in it. No, there's something, I find it inexhaustible, because I was freaking tired as hell when I came in here. And the funny thing is, when I was doing it in recovery, I did 16 years of Monday nights at this one place in San Francisco. If I was in the country, every Monday night. That's a lot of Monday nights, yeah? And in those Monday nights, I had a lot of experiences. Sometimes, like my girlfriend broke up with me 5 minutes before the talk. Sometimes, back when I was first in recovery, AIDS, because intravenous drug user, it took 3 weeks to find out if you had it or not. So I'd be waiting to see if I had AIDS. I had no money, I had the flu, sinus infections, whatever condition that was so pressing, I'd walk into that room and share, and none of it all left, as if it never happened. I was totally freed from all the concerns, physical, everything. Then when it ended, they would come back, yeah? But it showed me something. The whole point is, if you hear stuff, don't let a period be put on it. Let the mind entertain. So I saw 16 years of Monday nights, and I saw something that I was totally engulfed in be dismissed like that, with this power moving through. It showed me how real could it be if it could be disappeared so quickly. So I started to realize the dreaming, yes? Intimately, by being here, by being your own fucking authority, by you being the living scripture. You are what you're looking for. Let it be that. See what happens. You can live from a point prior to thought. And you'll sense it, and it will feel fucking on. And there won't have to be tons of yapping to rationalize it, or fucking excuse it, or blame it on other people. You'll just know before knowing. You'll just have a sense. And if that works with you, there's going to be a lot of possibilities that comes with it, yeah? There will, and then they'll break open, and then there'll be expression, and you'll know the tree by its fruits. You'll see that you're onto something. Yes?
What would you say is that force that is moving through you, where you feel like
Yeah.
you're
I don't know, energy. I don't give it any name.
Okay. And why then? Because you do not think anymore? You're just there in the moment talking?
You know, what happens with this, I lose interest in knowing anything, really. I don't know what happens. I think I learned enough or knew enough that knowing isn't serviceable anymore, yeah? I just find out what's happening, and my curiosity goes into that that's curious to me, yeah? Not wise or figuring things out. So I have no idea what's happening. Do you? Yeah? Many, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you say your thoughts are like you think about, before you speak about your girlfriend or all your worries, what would you say, what is or who is responsible for all these thoughts? Are you?
I don't think anyone's responsible for them. I mean, let's say, no. Is awareness responsible for awareness? Yeah. Is awareness responsible for what it's aware of?
I need to think about it.
Knowing in a way is a booby prize. If you were concerning this topic, it's very good to be knowledgeable about a lot of things, but you can't be knowledgeable about what you are. The only possibility is being it. There's no knowledge about it is actually detrimental in a sense. Trying to think you can study it is detrimental. Trying to think you can have an understanding of what you are, to me, is detrimental. Serious. And your own interest pointed towards it is detrimental. You know, it's more like like in Dzogchen, Tibetan Buddhism, they call it relaxed awareness. I go with that, yeah? It's not a focused, concentrated, it's more of an opened aperture, and you see a whole lot more when you're not looking for anything. Yeah, you do. You get a lot more of the picture if you're not fucking concentrating to look for something. Yeah, and that's just a report of how it appears traveling. You know, that's all. Yeah. See, I want to know something. All right, but the mental state thinks it has it, or that's all it is. If I know it, it's like I own it or something. But you can't apply that to what you are. You can apply it to everything else. I can find what I'm not. I can find a latte in Hamburg. It may take me a little while. I can find a pair of pants. I can find a date maybe. I can find tons of shit and be successful. But I can't apply that to what I am. I can't find what I am. I'd have to be something else to find it, and I'm not. So see, knowledge has its point, but if the topic is us, then it's not a big serviceable thing. You can have knowledge of what you're not. You don't have to be an expert on what you're not. All you need to know is enough to see you're not that, and then the knowledge has succeeded, yeah? Now it's yeah. I don't want to become a professor of what I'm not, and I can't be a professor of what I am. So it's sort of like being a professor of holes, but still falling in the holes. What's the point of the fucking knowledge? I think we're applying what we have used to find a lot of stuff, to know a lot of stuff, to get a sense of control over stuff by thinking, oh, I know that, so therefore I can feel safe. Yeah? But we're trying to apply it to one topic we can't apply it to, because we're being that which we'd like to know. Yeah? It's impossible. Yeah. If you get to know you, it's going to be a sore replacement to what you are, really. Being what you are is way beyond knowing. And it's much more reliable, because what you know you can unknow or you can forget. But what you are, you can't. You can't remember it because it's never not here, and you can't forget it because it's always here. Yeah, it takes away all that little shenanigans the head can get in with, you know? Look at like when you study about relationship, let's say, and you've read every book on relationship, and then that situation, that's the big thing that bothers you, happens. Does all that knowledge ever show up? Very rarely. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Does it? You fucking put your foot in your mouth, like once again. All right, why did I put my foot in my mouth? Fuck that. Yeah. Jesus, it doesn't go anywhere. So now you know why, but then it still happens. What's the point of that knowledge? It's an extra weight. You're drowning in it. You think it's the life preserver, but you're drowning with it. This is a different, you have it, you heard it, yes? Agree or not agree, you've heard it. I've done my job. I've presented it in a way that you can at least see it a little bit, yeah? There's a looking for what you are from what you're not. And at the exact same moment, there's a seeing of what you're not from what you are. A lot of the attention is in, I'm looking for what I'm not. I'm looking for what I am from what I'm not, because we take what I'm not to be me, yeah? So therefore, that becomes a topic, and therefore knowledge is important, understanding is important. I'd like to get some experiences of it. It's like the wave being so determined that it's the wave, the only thing you can hope for concerning the ocean is to experience it, yeah? And then it starts studying about the ocean. It becomes a professor of oceanness, but still identified as the wave. All it has to see is it's not the wave, and bam-o, what happens? It's the ocean. Would it want to go back to being a wave and because the knowledge of the ocean was so precious? Or would it just rather be fucking saturated all the time as ocean? I'd go with the latter. Yeah? And then you hear this music, it's a great little backdrop. Everyone's looking at me like, what a fucking crazy American. I see this beauty out here. My head's going, when is this going to end? I want to get something to eat, on this, on that. There's no one to be found in any of it. That's all made up. What you are not has no light of its own. It has to, it's like the moon masquerading like the sun. It's reflecting the sunlight. So for it to become the sun, it has to fucking work super hard to make sure you forget the sun. Yeah? So therefore you'll mistake the moon because light seems to be coming from it, and you'll call it the sun. What will happen then? Then you may launch off and try to learn about all the moons that are everywhere, but as the sun, the false sun. Why not just see what's happening? Yeah, see it. Maybe we'll travel lighter tonight or tomorrow, and maybe we'll get more traveling lighter. And then, when you get the contentment and satisfaction, you won't want anything else. You'll be cool. Yeah. Then you're available for love and other things. You can receive and give love. These things were impossible to me when I was young. I had to get loaded constantly. All this stuff, I didn't practice how to give love. It just started to happen, and you just find out about it. And it's just like, this is a form of expression, and that which is running it, no one, whatever, or becoming the main influence, will have a flavor of expression that will look quite different than what was expressing before as this, yeah? Yeah. So, that's that. I gave it all. And I'll do it again tomorrow. I just dig it, man, because I don't want to have to. It has to be, hey, good night, bro. It has to be always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. If not, then it's conditional, isn't it? And who's going to say what condition it's in? You. The you that you're not. Like it says, it's always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary other than the ones you make up, really. Yes, that's it. This is I like the Germans. They're very.
How was the trip? How was the trip? Your trip. How was the trip?
Oh, the trip.
Yeah.
It was. Out to here?
I don't know.
Oh.
Apparently no one asked you, so.
The trip started at 5 in the morning in Pescara, Italy. Got to the airport, got on a plane 6:40, got to Milan 7:45. Stayed in Milan, supposedly at 11:30, but we didn't take off till 2:30. So I had about 8 hours. I got very intimate with this one section of Ryanair in the Milan airport. Had some cappuccino. Wasn't gonna eat, but then when I realized, you know, well, I'm not paying Ryanair. See, the first time I came here with Ryanair, I was not gonna fucking pay that extra money. So I had a book by Ramana Maharshi, and all I did was rip a couple of pages out because it would have been too heavy. So I took the pages with me. So I would come under the 12 kilo thing. So I'm not gonna fucking give them money. So I'm definitely not gonna eat on their plane. So I don't know. It was, I was tired, and this is all action figure. And I was tired, and got here. My friend picked me up, and here I am. I got here around 4, and then we had to come over here pretty quickly. Took a shower. And there you go. Yeah. If this was a topic, I would have had a study. I would have had to get prepared. Yeah. I would have had to gone over my notes. I never fucking prepared ever. Because you know why? I have the ability to be convinced, and I have faith in mind. Big on mind. Not me. There's faith in mind. And I've had enough demonstrations in this life for this to become fucking pretty obvious that it has nothing to do with it. Yeah? And it brings a certain peace and solace to it. I would say it's like an attitude of surrender. And this does a lot better when it's directed instead of directing, when it's being led instead of leading. And like I realized in recovery, I am not managerial quality. I'm not meant to be running the show. I'll let the show be run somehow, somewhere else. And it does, yeah? I'm the better for it, and actually you're the better for it. Yeah? Because I may be, you know, I could be robbing your house if I was out there. You know, I got struck sober, which is mind-boggling. I did. You want me to tell you? It's a little story. You want to hear it? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I had spent 3 months in one program in New York City when I was younger, and then 2 years in San Francisco, a live-in program. Yeah, because when I was managing my own life, it led me to have to be managed by other people. Went to jail, had to be supervised because I could not live life on life's terms, basically. So I went to college, I did that in this place, and then I graduated with flying colors. In about a week or 2, I was using again. And after 10 months, I came to in a trailer park about 2 hours north of San Francisco, next to this hang gliding airport. Now, I had gone out March 17th in San Francisco. I lost my car the 18th. The 19th, I have no idea what happened. And I came to in this trailer with this guy I didn't know. Not horizontally, vertically, you know, it wasn't. And he had a big head, with big nose with varicose veins, and we were drinking a bottle of vodka. And I looked at him and I said, this guy's a fucking bum, you know? And he was looking back at me like I was a fucking bum. And that's what happened. Something happened where the head got stopped, which I didn't think was possible. No thoughts. And a download load occurred. And it was like a CNN news flash. Just a headline, no story, and it was, I'm fucked, yeah? Now, I'd been fucked for quite a while, but it was really news to me, really. And from that point on, the next day, it was just so wild, but from that point on, it's been over 30 years now, I've never had a strong urge or thought about using and drinking.
About using?
Using it, drugs or drinking. The problem doesn't exist for me anymore, which is a damn fucking good solution. And it was very clear that no human power could produce this effect because my mother wanted me to stop, My friends wanted me to stop. I wanted to stop. The state wanted me to stop. No power could cause this stoppage, but something did. Something downloaded, and I haven't had a thought or a feeling for 30 years. That's a pretty damn good demonstration that something can do for me what I can't do for myself. Yeah? So, as an action figure, that's the highest attitude it can reach in this little case, which is surrender. Yeah? It's surrendered. So, and it just led into this, obviously, because I was quite curious what the fuck happened, and it led me into these possibilities, and these possibilities led me into not looking for any more possibilities concerning these possibilities. Yeah.
You said like life is just destiny.
No, I didn't say that. Life is happening.
Yeah, okay, life is happening.
Yeah.
But when that what I am is just dreaming this, is not that also creating the dream?
Not creating, it's making.
Yeah, but when it's making the dream, can I not like, then I don't think it's just happening to me, like, then I am actually in control of it. Or I can be in control of it.
But see, that's from the dreamt point of view. See, the dreamt point of view says, if I'm the dreaming, I could have control over it. I'm talking about the dreaming's point of view, that everything is just fucking the way it is. Yeah, it's a different...
But there's like, you mean there's just dreaming, no like dreamer that's dreaming?
Yes, there's no dreamer that's dreaming. There's dreaming of the dreamt. There's no dreamt that's dreaming.
But something has to create the like.
It's not created.
The dream.
It's made.
What do you mean?
Did you create a dream last night?
Well, yeah, my subconscious mind created it.
Where is it?
Hmm?
Where is what you created? Yeah, it's dreaming. It's dreaming. See, the thing is, this is how we make it seem to be different, because we think at night is a dream, but this is the awake dreaming. That's all. If you woke up from this, it would be like waking up from fucking a night dream. When the dreaming is going on and you haven't woken up, it's as real can fucking be. Voila. Usually in the dreaming at night, you're not thinking, this is dreaming, you know? You're in it, you're playing all the roles and stuff like that, and the only way it doesn't seem as real as it was is when you seem to wake up to this, yeah? But what is waking up to this? It would be very similar, in a way, to waking up to a night, yeah? In a way, it could look like that, but in a weird way, this is like you wake up, but the dreaming continues. It's like lucid dreaming, yeah? Yeah. Doesn't mean it's bad or good or insignificant or significant. If it's significant to you, it's fucking significant. Yeah? As the dreaming, as the dreamt is taking a lot of shit personally. And you can't use non-duality to sort of, see, this is what happened when I first heard non-duality. Read some books. So I'm living in Australia. My girlfriend is going to go out. She says, hey, Paul, do some chores, do the dishes, all right? So she comes home. The dishes aren't done. She says, Paul, didn't I ask you to do the dishes? Well, there is no Paul, and there are no dishes. And she said, fuck you, do the dishes. So this is like immaturity of the mental state claiming non-duality to try to get a fucking advantage out of it, try to get itself to be irresponsible for things it feels really fucking responsible for. It doesn't work as a skillful means. The selfing can't use non-duality to get an advantage from the selfing. It won't. It's happening now. People are coming to these talks and they want to be a non-self as a self. They want to have the qualities of not Paul, but as Paul. It's not happening. It's not going to work that way. You can't use non-duality as a skillful means. It's a fact or it ain't for you. If it ain't for you, far out. If it is for you, far out. Basically. It's a fact. Non-duality just says it's not two. That means it's not subject-object, there's not this or that, there's not me or you, there's not two. All right? Or as Jesus said, supposedly, which is incredible negation, he says, hey, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. So let's check out what in this world means. Bodies, separation, time, things. And he's saying, and you're not of those. So you're not of things, you're not of time, you're not of separation. So therefore you get to what you are by seeing what you're not. Oh, if I'm not of time, what would that imply? Maybe, I hate to use the term, but timeless, yeah? All right? I'm not of things, so I must be non-thing. Yes? I mean, why can't we make the leap? I don't understand why we get stymied by, what does that mean? Well, its meaning, it says, I can't say something directly, so I'm going to say it this way. All right, you know what it's like to be in this place, but and yet you're not of this place. Wow. Yeah. That to me is pure negation. And that's, for me, that's what's worth its salt in presentation of the message is negation. So I've done the best I can. I bid you a fond farewell.